Haria is joining us, co-founder, GreenEdge Wealth Services. Digant, great to have you with us here. Thank you very much for your time. State Bank of India, other PSU banks. Let's start with SBI. What's your view on the numbers that we've got, some of the underlying growth numbers that we've seen, and what does it mean for the sector? I'll tell you why I'm asking that, because till SBI came out, it almost felt like PSU banks post the third quarter numbers will actually see earnings upgrades by the time the earnings season ends, as opposed to private banks which are largely disappointed. So just SBI and the broader PSU space, in your opinion.
Morning, Prashant. Good to be here. See this, I think your question itself has some answers that, let's see, SBI, we should think of this as one-off. See, whenever there is a wage negotiation or a wage revision which happens, once in 5 years, these things are expected. SBI had a slightly different pension accounting versus all other PSU banks, and which is why the hit with SBI is a little larger. But having said that, I would really like to ask you that, when in the history have we seen that, SBI's loan book rate is same or say a little higher than HDFC Bank? But we're seeing, that really playing out. So I would really think we should look at this whole employee expense pension provision as a one-off. And I think SBI is set, if we talk about next year, which is FY25, I think SBI is set to do profits anywhere between 60 to 70,000 crores. That's a very large number, something which we would never have thought of a year and a half back. And let's not forget, SBI is just not retail loans. These private sector banks are a lot dependent on retail loans. SBI can do a lot of corporate loans. The finance minister in her budget, it was very clear that, once elections are over, the private sector capex, the private sector growth will actually come back in the corporate space. And you will see SBI, delivering, mightily in the next year, which is FY25. So any weakness on this one-off kind of a result, I think one should definitely use it as a dips to buy. Your second question, Prashant,
go ahead.
Your second question was that, it was looking as if the PSU banks will do much better than the private banks. You're absolutely bang on. See, the margin pressures on PSU banks have been very minimal when you compare it with the private sector banks. And even, on the growth front, they have not faltered too much. So I think the setup is really right that, when we have a deposit war, which the private sector banks will face, and, the slightly higher margin pressures, PSU banks are in a sweet spot. They do not have the deposit problem. Margin compression is less. And probably corporate growth pickup is just around the corner after elections. So I think PSU banks are set to outperform the public sector banks. It's just that, SBI, BOB, PNB, the multiple difference has been so low. It has never been so low. So SBI should rally more, to regain its premium. That's our take on this PSU space.
Crystal clear then, Digant, on that. Fairly positive on the banking names and SBI in particular. Digant, I also want your view on Paytm. But for the time being, let's just do a quick revision of the news flow over the weekend. Ritu joins us to help us out with just that. Ritu?
Well, there have been a series of regulatory lapses by Paytm Payment Bank over the last 5 years, which have culminated in this RBI action against it. One of the big concerns has been around KYC rules and the violation of those, where we've been given to understand RBI found absence of KYC for lakhs of customers, PAN validation failures in lakhs of accounts, instances of a single PAN being linked to more than 1,000 customer accounts, for instance. Also, transactions running into crores, which is far beyond the limits allowed, and an unusually high number of dormant accounts, which are prone to have been used as mule accounts. In fact, we understand 30 out of 35 crore wallets, about 31 crore were inoperative, and therefore there were concerns relating to misuse in the form of money laundering by some, miscreants. To be clear, Paytm's customer accounts are under scrutiny because of weak regulatory compliance, leaving them prone to misuse. But there are no allegations or regulatory concerns relating to the company itself or its founder having indulged in money laundering activities. The second big concern was the fact that the bank did not maintain an arm's length distance in dealing with promoter group entities. Its financial, non-financial businesses were mingled. There were instances of false compliance reports being submitted by the bank and the bank failing to disclose substantial payables to the parent entity. 197 communication All of this put together forced the RBI to act in the way it did.
Got it. All right, Ritu, thanks a lot for that, for making it pretty clear on all those parameters. Digant, what's your view? Paytm now at around 440 rupees approximately. What would you do, I mean, with the stock? Do you think at some point of time it becomes a buy, or do you think, there's too much of uncertainty out there, you'd rather just stay away?
Yeah, Nigel, morning. So, see, there is a lot of uncertainty, and you will see some, lot of news flow coming in. Like Ritu pointed out that these were the lapses. More news flow will come out. But here, let's not forget that Paytm, at the end of the day, it's a fast-growing company. These are startups. They come from a very different mindset. So I think lapses are, going to be a part of their system, their DNA. It's just that, when you're growing very fast, these things happen. But there's a lot of value in the Paytm franchise, Nigel, that I would like to point out. Let's see, they have 4 crore active merchants on their platform, and 1 crore out of them have taken monthly subscriptions in the form of, those sound boxes or, other packages. Now, we always talked about that, India is a country of MSMEs. There are like crores of MSMEs, and it's a big space and big opportunity. Paytm actually has cracked that opportunity. It is just that it is not, it does not have an NBFC license. It's right now not on the right side of the law. And which is why, these whole, developing the SME ecosystem and winning there becomes a bit of a question mark. But, if we just think what happens 2-3 months later, either Paytm complies with whatever RBI has asked them to comply, and then they get back the permission from RBI to, restart their old businesses, or you have a new promoter which comes in place of the current promoter. Because below $400, I'm sure, the Reliance Jios of the world and Bajaj Finance or HDFC Axis Bank of the world, they would really be looking at Paytm very, very closely.
Sure. All right. Thanks a lot for that. Actually, we've run out of time, but thank you for your quick thoughts there.